Well, you know, in all my years of restoring horse-drawn vehicles, I am constantly involved in breaking down rust, getting frozen pieces apart. It's just inherent in what I do because stuff is 100 years old plus. So it has years of rust oxidation built up. And in the Smith spreader, it has been the same. My go-to after all these years, kind of a never-fail answer to this problem has been heat, usually through my torch, sometimes through the forge. Now, there are some that are dead set that this PB Blaster is the best thing going. So I keep it around and I use it some. I'm not convinced that it is the best penetrating oil. Many of you have suggested using hot wax, crayons, paraffin, this type of things, candle wax, kind of all the same ballpark in my mind. And I use a lot of wax as a cutting fluid, but is it the right material to break down rust? Me, I'm not convinced. Once the rust is broken down, does it then have an opportunity to come in and lubricate those threads to break them loose? Yeah, I'll give you that. So probably the next test that I'm going to do that has been offered as a suggestion through the comment section is 50-50 acetone and ATF, automatic transmission fluid. I've never tried this before. I did it in last week's video, but again, I'm not really convinced yet because I just did it on some nuts and bolts. And when I took these 4 square-headed bolts out of the framework that held the 5th wheel plate on, I put some of this ATF mixture on top of it. And, you know, it leaves a residue on the nut, but when I took the nuts off, all this thread was still dry rust. Now it kind of seeped back down a little bit because I put my nuts back on the bolts, and it helps me keep track of things. But for the most part, you know, there was no penetration, but I didn't leave it set a long time. Which brings up another issue that some of the directions and some of the recommendations of these penetrating oils is, oh, put it on and let it soak overnight, or let it soak for a week. If I let it soak for a week, it always works. I'm not patient enough for that. I want it broke loose, and I want it broke loose today, right now. So maybe that's my biggest hindrance on being too favorable toward any penetrating oil yet. When I put heat to it, I get results now, and that's what I want. So I have this front bar with the cogs on this drive chain that runs this apron, and we did the cogs on the rear axle toward the beater and found out that they are really quite severely rusted on, and it took quite a bit of heat to get them off. Well, I tried the last one with graduating, increasing heat to a moderate heat and some wax, intermediate heat and some wax, and finally it was a lot of heat and some wax. So I still think it was the heat that made it work. I'm going to try it on this other cog that is on the front of these. I actually have the bar with both cogs on it, and we'll see what happens. So this is the cog that would be on the left side, and this is the bracket that mounts to the framework. So this whole bar assembly is adjustable. It has a bolt back here, and it's still on the other side, but you can adjust that for tension on the chain. Well, this cog is keyed into this bar, and then it has this spacer, so it should be rotating in this cast piece here, and it actually has a hole that it should be oiled. The cog is fastened to the bar through the keyway, but it should be free to turn here, and it's not. So this is the right side, and this is the bracket that allows this to be tensioned as well. Well, again, this sprocket here is keyed into the bar, has a spacer, so it should be turning in this housing, and this housing also has an oil hole here. So I need to get these apart, and I'm going to try this 50-50 mix. So when I removed these drive cogs on the back end of this spreader, they were still fastened enough to the body of the spreader that I used that to work against, but I can't really clamp this down to my table saw quasi bench. So I'm going to put it on my welding table back here and clamp it in a vise and see if I can't get these off. Now I'll probably do the same 3-step series. I'll put some kind of light heat on it, add some oil, see if it'll come off. It's going to be a little difficult to get in here because of this collar. There's just not a whole lot of shoulder to get in there. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I hate to tap too hard out here. We'll see what it takes to get this loose and this collar, and then I'll work on this cog. And you know, I noticed in a lot of YouTube channels that the calling card is, let me tell you an inside secret, or this is a hack you've never seen before, or all this kind of stuff. This is nothing about that way. I've never tried this 50-50 acetone ATF. I have not a clue how it'll work. Personally, I'm pretty skeptical about it. Like I say, I think heat will win, but you suggested it enough. I'll give it a try. We'll see. I'm kind of on the negative side, but proof might be in the pudding. I kind of expect this housing and this collar to come off a little more easily because it was turning at one time until it became kind of a lawn ornament. It's this cog here that I think is going to be the most problematic. You see it has come through on the shaft. You see oil down in here. So it has penetrated, and I'm on kind of a mild heat right now. Got a little movement. Once it starts to move, you kind of got the game won. As I work this, you can see the rust coming out here. So this acetone ATF solution came this direction. It didn't penetrate this. This is all still pretty dry. But it did break it loose, and we'll see if we can get this collar. And again, this is with a pretty light heat. But I kind of expected that this would be one of the easier ones. There's quite a bit of gap in there. We'll see if this one will come off. This should be just a spacer. See, that's pretty sloppy. That should have just come right off. So I can just hear you sitting at home, those of you that suggested this solution, going, see how easy that came off? I tried to tell you. We'll see about this one. Put it on both sides. See if we'll come into the heat. Kind of a light heat. Let's see what we got. I'm going to increase the heat. I don't know if you can see, but right here you can see the oil starting to boil right there. Yeah, a lot more heat. We'll give her a go here. As I'm watching the head of this key right here to this cog housing, I'm not seeing any movement yet. Not that I can see. Well, I'm going to increase the heat. And not to be Mr. Pessimistic, because I'm, like I said, kind of pessimistic. I'm going to go to where I get this rascal hot, which you should start to see some red around these shoulders here. If I can get it up to where I get a red color, I'm actually burning that rust out. It's so hot, it just gets rid of that right away. I'm still not seeing anything. Still nothing. Well, when all else fails, more heat. When I get this hot, I'm not going to tap on it now. If I take and tap on it, I'm just going to distort my casting. So hopefully this will burn out the rust. I'm going to let it cool down till there's no color, and then we'll see what we got. See if we'll take oil. It's still pretty hot. Color's gone, but it's still pretty warm. And again. See, it's starting to move on that keyway right there. The sparks coming out is that burnt out rust. So you can see kind of a slight taper to this keyway here. Brush that off a little bit. You can see the thicker part here and narrower part there. That's a locking key because this cog had no set screw. This tapered key locks it into place, but it should always back off on the opposite direction of that taper. I don't know if you can see it or if the camera will pick it up, but the shop is just full of this smoky haze from burning that oil off of that hot iron. Well, we're halfway there. Got the other side to take off. So I guess we'll get to test this theory twice. Maybe that one was just abnormally stubborn. Maybe it was a fluke. But so far, what can I say? Well, according to this, that oil mixture penetrated maybe about a ½ inch. Interesting fiber filler in there. The last time I went through 3 steps before I went to the rosebud. I'm just going to go to about step number 3. I'm going to put a fair bit of heat on this, as much as the cutting torch will do, and if that won't work, I'll go back to the rosebud. I'll give that 50-50 mix one more chance. Nothing yet. More heat. There's that same tapered key. So, bottom line, where am I at? Did blaster work the best? Did wax work the best? 50-50 acetone ATF work the best? Or did heat work the best? I think you kind of know where I'm at. So when it comes to different shops, different projects, different situations, the approaches might be different. I have found that when I run up against frozen, rusted, seized up, will not come apart parts, I go to heat as the solution. For the most part, I will use some of these others in combination with that at times as well. So this is just my brief conclusion to test some of the suggestions that you have offered to me in the comment section, and I do appreciate that. It allows me to experiment and know firsthand what works for me. You experiment and find out what works well for you. Anyway, appreciate you coming along. Thanks for watching.